What do you do when you realize that the greatest obstacles to your happiness and success are often rooted within yourself? Today, I am thrilled to welcome Carly Pepin to LifeJack, the Resilience Podcast. Hailing from Southern California and coming from a family of entrepreneurs, Carly has dedicated her life to personal growth and helping others achieve their fullest potential. As a certified Demartini Method facilitator and soon-to-be scaling-up coach, she has empowered countless business owners and entrepreneurs to overcome self-doubt and create lasting impact in their industry. Carly's journey has not been without its challenges. After grappling with depression and anxiety, she moved to Australia only to discover that the real transformation needed to happen within. Her resilience shines through in her work with West Coast Growth Advisors, where she focuses on helping leaders scale their businesses while staying true to their values.
Sometimes life gives us lemons. Sometimes it gives us lemonade. Other times it gives us something entirely out of left field that makes us say, WTF. But no matter what obstacles come, there is most often a way out on the other side, and we are once again victorious. My name is Dr. Rowe, and you are listening to my podcast about resilience. Every guest shares a tragedy to triumph story to give listeners like you the inspiration to push through every single day. Listen now as my next guest shares how they were life-jacked.
Hi, Carly. Welcome. Thank you so much for being a guest on my show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to diving in.
Carly, you have a little bit of an interesting background. Can you kind of share a little bit about what it was like coming from a family full of entrepreneurs?
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely an inspiring thing for me to witness. I think I had a different perspective on work, that work was to be enjoyed and something that was fun and exciting and, yeah, things that you actually want to do. So even when I was working in careers and corporate and all that different dynamic, if I didn't like the job, it was just, okay, well, then you quit and you find something that fits and you find something that you love. So I think that was really helpful. And then in addition to that, just seeing, the trials and tribulations that business owners actually go through. So I didn't have this like fantasy when I was building a business that everything was going to be happy-go-lucky and fun and perfect all the time. Like I knew it was going to be challenging, and I knew some of the things that come with it.
I think that's one misconception that people see with entrepreneurs or people who have their businesses, especially when they're looking at the success parts of the business, right? They look at people are able to have their preferred lifestyle and, they're buying things, they're going on vacations, they're eating at, these fabulous restaurants without realizing there's a lot that goes into these companies and these organizations that people are building.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's nice to have like a firsthand experience of that because you kind of get the firsthand experience of the ups and downs and see how people manage them.
No, most definitely. So what do you think specifically influenced your path towards personal development, being that you come from this entrepreneurial family?
Yeah, personal development, I think one of my favorite things about building business is definitely that you can't not grow, right? It's an unavoidable aspect of life. So we're pushed to grow in many different ways to express parts of ourselves that, we kind of try to repress because that's just the nature of business. We're having to tackle different things on a regular basis we never thought we would have to tackle. And so it really is a personal development journey. And yeah, it just at some point was like an opportunity where there's certain things that I wasn't able to tackle just with normal day-to-day items that seemed to work for other people but wasn't working for me. And that's when I knew I had to find something more, find something deeper, find something that would actually work. And that's when I really started to try to understand human behaviors, values, what's truly driving us, what's actually driving these challenges we're experiencing and how we can actually start to transform it and love our lives.
Now, you've had a significant journey with anxiety and depression, and it caused you to make the decision to move to Australia. So what brought that decision on? I mean, you could have picked any country. And so what was the draw to Australia? And, well, let's just start with there. What was the draw to move to Australia?
Yeah, I had actually visited Australia with a company that I was working with. So I went for work, and I really loved the culture, and I really loved the city. I just really, really absolutely loved it. And it wound up that I had one friend from high school who had come to the United States as an exchange student that I had stayed in touch with that lived out there. So it kind of presented itself as an opportunity, and it seemed like the best course of action just because I was really miserable. So I thought Australia would solve my problems. It kind of did and it didn't. It did not in the sense that it's not the outside world that's going to solve my problems, but it did in the sense that it got me separated from everything else and really helped me to realize that the answers are going to come from within.
Ah, I love it. And so how did that experience shape your understanding of resilience when you say that you realize that the answers really have to come from within?
Yeah, it really helps with that dynamic of understanding resilience, that that's something that we have, and it's not something that we need to seek. It's not something that we need to find. It's actually something that naturally exists within all of us, and we naturally tap into it when we're facing challenges that are inspiring to us. So even when I was there, it was, the challenge was very intense, and things got even more extreme because all of a sudden all my distractions were gone. But I had the resilience to stick through it simply because it was an inspiring challenge for me to overcome. And so that was kind of the beginning of really learning those different human behavior dynamics and understanding that we all have that inside us when we're facing and connecting with challenges that really truly are inspiring ones. Resilience naturally comes forward to help us to get to the other side.
Now, you decided to hire a life coach when you were in Australia. And I know sometimes people kind of hesitate from hiring a life coach. So, but you decided to hire a life coach when you were in Australia, and it was a pivotal moment for you. So what made you decide, you know what, maybe I should try a life coach?
The decision was actually just a pamphlet that I had seen in one of the yoga studios that I was practicing in, and my car stalled, so I was waiting for a jump, and I read the pamphlet, and she had all the things I had had before, but she had gotten to the other side, and I had been told that you couldn't get to the other side of these things. And when I connected with her kind of on the sales call, I could actually hear that she wasn't kidding. Like, she really did. And I was like, I want what you have. Teach me. So that was really helpful, and it's super helpful. And yeah, it was a really beautiful journey, and she really approached things in a way that I had never had things approached before. Like, she was just approaching my problems in regards to, let's understand your life purpose, the meaning behind, why you're here, what's important to you. And it really was solving my problems by creating an inspiring life, and it worked, and it worked fast. It worked so fast. And that's when I was like, all right, sign me up. I definitely want more of this. And even in regards to the continuation of that, I really love having coaches. It's very important to me personally in regards to catching things that I'm unable to catch. It's unrealistic for us to believe that we're going to solve all these problems on our own. Like, we are not an island, and it doesn't matter how many tools I have. I am still blind to certain things in my own life because my triggers or charges are so high. So I love getting the feedback from individuals who have been on a journey in life and understand how to help me to get to the other side and have the strength and courage to call me out on my crap, when I'm on a call or anywhere, and just make sure that I'm actually facing it. So yeah, I think coaching is a really beautiful opportunity, especially when you find an individual that you're quite aligned with, or individuals sometimes.
Most definitely. I know a lot of times when I'm talking to a lot of my clients about resilience and how do they get to the other side, because one thing I know people don't understand is that there's a difference between hiring a life coach and a therapist. And sometimes people entertain the two, but I often tell them, therapy is for your healing. It's for the things that happened in your past. But you get a life coach for your future to figure out where you're going to go. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I love the distinction. I really, truly love it, and I think it's quite inspiring. I'll sometimes focus on things from the past just to do some clearing on certain dynamics to make sure that we can prepare for the future. So I know that sometimes we're going to dive into that no matter what. I might be, like recently, just trying to move forward with a client in particular who is struggling in relationship dynamic and building the relationship that they would love, but the root cause of the challenges is not with the actual partner. It's with kind of this feminine role that was played by the mom growing up. So we'll dive into that from time to time, and then as soon as you clear the charge, it's like, all right, let's move forward. It's like, let's look at your plan and what action steps can you take today now that those fears, those worries, those concerns, those triggers are gone. So sometimes we'll kind of go back in the past, but I think like when I think about the coaching dynamic, it's less of the connecting and talking about the story. And like, if you're not feeling better after a call, like, then I didn't do my job. But after every call, like, you should genuinely be feeling better, because we're not just here to talk about what's going on. We're here to actually like get through it and make progress. And if you're in the talking stages, that's awesome. I know some people really love to just like talk, and therapy is like a great opportunity for them to just talk and be heard. But with coaching, it's usually like, okay, we're going to talk, but then we're going to go through, structure solutions, find out how to get to the other side, and move on. It's almost like a little bit more like a business in a sense. You are the business.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, you are a certified coach or a certified facilitator in the Demartini Method. So can you kind of share and elaborate on the Demartini Method?
Yeah, so the Demartini Method has some really inspiring human behavior principles, and it's there to help us balance our perception. So basically, no matter what we've gone through, we can transform any of the charges, the triggers behind them, And so we think about that. It's like you could have gone through a perceived traumatic experience, which could be anything that we know, like the common things, which sometimes is molestation, rape, big things like that, big deaths in the family, situations like that. Or it's also what you perceive to be traumatic, which, depending on what's important to you, could be like the loss of financials. That could be something that was so important to you and so valuable, and when you potentially lost all that, that was perceived traumatic. So trauma, even there's one individual that I worked with that even was trying to get into sports and couldn't get into it, and then all of a sudden that was a trauma in their life that we went back and we worked through. And so it really depends on what's important to you, and I think that's important for people to remember, that trauma is going to be unique depending on your life purpose. And whenever your life purpose is challenged, whatever that unique life purpose may be, that will be depending on the degree of challenge, the degree of trauma you experience. So that's something that's really important to remember, because sometimes people really judge themselves for struggling so hard with a situation that's actually not, labeled as traumatic in the common world. And they're like, but I feel like I'm traumatized. And it's like, well, let's check out what your life purpose is. And I bet you it's going to be exactly around that dynamic. So utilizing these questions, these quality questions, to help clear the emotions, the fears, all these different dynamics, just to help someone get to the other side and get more clarity on what their vision, their values, their life purpose is. It's really important, because if we want to have a business, if we want to understand like where that business is going, where we're going, it's important to know about yourself, because that's the root of where it all comes from, you.
Now, you help people overcome their self-doubt, and I know one of the things that I struggle with is imposter syndrome. And it doesn't matter how much success I've had with this show, or now that I'm diving into video podcasting, which I've had some ups and downs with that, but I think by now I'm starting to kind of get the hang of it, but I have had some disasters, let me tell you. But when you're helping some of your clients, especially us who are business owners and entrepreneurs, overcome self-doubt, because, one mistake, one failure could just be devastating to the business. So how do you help them overcome self-doubt?
Yeah, so with that dynamic, and this one I love that you shared, like you're still struggling with it because this is the truth. Like we will always and forever have a different level of self-doubt because we're evolving human beings, right? So when you were a kid and you were riding the bike for the first time, right, you had a lot of self-doubt. But now you can hop on a bike without even thinking about it, right? And so it's like, but now you have, self-doubt around something else. It's like you said, like I'm feeling so comfortable with speaking on the recording, but I'm struggling with some of these dynamics that are coming up with video. And so basically you just change from a bike to a car, and we have these unrealistic expectations not to have new forms of self-doubt come in when in fact it's quite natural. And this is the beautiful part as well, is these are the opportunities for us to have, this is why I love business again, more personal development and more growth. Because in these moments when the imposter syndrome comes in, that means that you have put someone else on a pedestal, you've infatuated with their form of what you're trying to step into, and now you're comparing yourself to one or many individuals thinking that something's missing inside you. And so that's why we have self-doubt. We doubt ourselves. We doubt we have these parts inside of us that'll help us accomplish the goals. The truth is, though, is you spot it, you got it. So anything you see on the outside, you have on the inside. And when you can find your own unique form of the things that you admire, the self-doubt completely dissipates, because what you've done is you've filled the void through actual data in your life. So a great example is just, working with an individual who didn't perceive that they had the business acumen to transfer from being an employee on a leadership role into a business owner. And so all I did is identified what specifically they identified a business owner having that they were missing. And we went and found it in his own form. And at the end of it, I was like, okay, how you feeling? I was like, you feel like a business owner now? And they're like, yeah, I have certainty I am. I'm like, totally. Because they just thought it was supposed to come in this very specific form, but it's actually coming in your unique form and your unique values and purpose. And once you do that, again, that self-doubt disappears because you're not missing anything. That part of you's inside you gives you permission to move forward, move on, and actually just step into the role that you're already made for, in a sense. And this is cool because it comes at varying levels, and it'll come at the varying levels of people that you're connected with too, which is quite interesting. It's really cool. And again, it's a beautiful opportunity just to love, appreciate yourself, your form, and really empower yourself with life data to know that this is you. What you see on the outside is you.
Oh, no, most definitely. I can see that. And I love the analogy that you said that I've been moving from riding a bike to driving a car. Absolutely. Just like that, for sure. Now, as a scaling up coach, what are some common challenges you see that entrepreneurs face, and how do you help them overcome these hurdles? Because being an entrepreneur is hard. I mean, it's crazy because you're also an entrepreneur yourself, and I'm pretty sure that there are different obstacles and challenges that you face along the way as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really taking it one step at a time. It's like it's baby steps, one step at a time. And we focus on the highest priority challenge in that moment, because I think it's like when we try to do too much at once, it can become really overwhelming. Like I've been working on a business dynamic in my business for the past 2 years of creating a shift on the back end. And everyone's going to start to see it come forward. More, it's already getting introduced this month, and that'll get introduced more next month, right? But the interesting thing is that's a 2-year dynamic that I've been breaking down, and you won't ever see that. Only I know that. Only people in my business know that. And so if I have an unrealistic expectation to like overcome all these challenges all at one time, I'm gonna make myself crazy. And this is where, outside of just like the personal development dynamic, it's just getting organized and structured. Writing down the challenges that you're facing, writing down the goals you want to achieve, and really breaking it down into a structure on what you can do in the month, in the quarter, in the year, right? What's the 3 years, what's the 5 years, what's the 10-year span, and really breaking each one down into bite-sized steps so that you understand like what you can tackle on a day-to-day basis. Because if you're trying to do everything at once and you're not learning how to prioritize your challenges, your problems in business, you are going to get so overwhelmed. You're going to get exhausted and you're going to get burnt out. And on the journey as well, like as you're starting to reflect on these components, you're not meant to do everything. So when you look at it, it's like, okay, well, what aspects of this can I delegate? Where is it time to either hire someone and bring them into the company, or actually bring in an outside contractor and do a project-by-project basis on certain items, so that some of these things you're going to take off your plate too. So business is a real opportunity to get highly structured and organized, and then even after you do, continue to refine it. This is life being life, is that you're going to get highly structured and organized, and then if you're not continuing to refine it, it's going to go back into disarray, So we try to keep our programs and processes, and this is why I also do the business consulting and dive into business coaching as well. It's because we're putting in these processes and structures to make sure you're catching the little bits and pieces before things blow up. It's only natural. It's really only natural in a business for that to occur.
No, that makes so much sense. So much sense. I pride myself on having systems, right, and procedures and processes, right? I mean, I know you experienced it, going through the booking process and the process of trying to be on the show, right? And so I've learned that if I don't have a system or a process, then you're right, it goes haywire. It gets really hectic. And so I try to make sure that I feel like that's what has kept me sane in doing this podcast, and it has brought me joy because I stay organized and I have a process for everything. So it's really, really, you're right about not, if you don't, be intentional with your time and what you want to achieve and accomplish, then you can get a little all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you emphasize the importance of having a support system. So can you share how coaches or mentors or family have contributed for you, have contributed to your own resilience journey?
Yeah, absolutely. To me, it's just my life. It's just a natural part of my day-to-day life, and something that it's a lifestyle. It's now a lifestyle. It is what it is. The majority of my friends, it's very rare for me to have a close relationship with someone who also doesn't have some sort of personal development or coaching background. It's very rare, and I just want to sit down with a friend and be able to talk things out from time to time, and I love getting the quality feedback, and they love getting the quality feedback, so it's like a win-win scenario. And even my partner, he's also a human behavior specialist, my husband as well, so that is quite inspiring. We have definitely a different approach to the challenges that we face, some that I'm sure would make other people crazy but are quite fulfilling for us. We do love it. And it's just, it's become a lifestyle. And even just family, it's like, how do I incorporate family into my life journey, because it's also something that's important to me, but that is something that's part of my value system, part of my life purpose is to have that level of family in it. And I think it's for people to realize too, is to be really clear on what your purpose is, what is valuable to you, your purpose, your values, because then you can create a support system and structure it around individuals that support that. I really value my long-term health as well. So part of my support system is the yoga teacher that I've selected that just really is teaching me beyond what I ever could have expected, just beyond. And it's okay, that's part of my support system because that's something that's highly valuable and important to me. And so it's okay, what is highly valuable and important to you, and what's your support system and structure around that? And again, when we think about support systems too, it's kind of fun because you get to provide your value to those individuals while they provide value to you as well. It's kind of like a fair exchange dynamic that we get to create with those individuals. And then sometimes it's just, we're swapping money for time. And those are the ones that we invest in financially. And what's that look like? Who's going to educate you? Is it going to be one person? Is it going to be many people? What do you want to learn? Where's the best place to go? It's kind of fun. You get to coordinate that. It's probably one of my favorite parts about all this is just going out and finding the perfect individuals and picking.
Do you think that you can find opportunities in some of these challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is really beautiful because when we're going through these specific challenges, we want to learn how to ask quality questions. And the quality questions that we want to ask, like we can think today about things that maybe we've gone through decades ago, and we can look back and say, you know what, I actually wouldn't want to change that because of what it's given me. And I realized that without that in my life, like I wouldn't be where I am today. So all I'm saying is instead of taking decades to get there, right, and like waiting decades for life to show you, just ask some quality questions. Ask the questions of how that's actually helping you on your journey, and keep asking until you can say with certainty that, yeah, this is perfect for me on my journey. I actually see this now. I don't even want out of the challenge because I recognize how valuable it is, and I'm just going to work with it as I work through it and get to the other side, because that's how perfect that challenge is. That's the level of degree that you can transform the mindset over a challenge, and you can do it while you're inside of it. Most people don't put in the time and energy, but what you're not realizing is like that relief that you get in the future where you're like, I feel grateful for this because of what it's given me. You can have that now, you know, while you're going through it. And that changes how you're experiencing it. So instead of being stressed out all the time and having distress and being burnt out and frustrated and resentful and sad and angry and all these emotions, you're just present and you're there and you're more objective and you're like, whoa, this is going to be tough today, but I got this, right? And so really giving yourself permission to change the quality of your questions, to change the quality of your mindset.
Now, speaking of mindset, like, you know, sometimes we get stuck, right? And we get stuck in a place like, you know, you previously came from with being, you know, stricken with anxiety and depression. So what are a couple of tips that you have to make sure that you have the proper mindset for personal development?
Yeah, seeing how it values, like seeing the value that it gives you. Because if you're not invested in personal development, I know that you're not understanding the actual value that it brings. And so this is kind of to look and see other times that you've engaged in personal development, what have you gotten out of it? You know, in what forms in the past have you engaged in personal development? I remember my grandma, when I look back, I was like, wow, she actually was really into personal development, and I didn't realize it until I was an adult. But I could go back and look and be like, yeah, she had all the Tony Robbins tapes all the time, and she'd be listening to him in the car. And, like, the things she said, I was like, oh, my gosh, it totally makes sense. That is like Tony Robbins. It's like, good on you, Grandma. You know, and it's funny because I can go back from when I was a kid and see where I was exposed to personal development and how it served me and how it helped me and the different mindset it gave me and how it helps me in life. And as a result of that, like, there's no way I'm ever going to let it go. There's no way. I cannot imagine not having it. And I think the biggest thing for me was just overcoming, like, the trauma and just not having it impact me at all, you know. And it's going from, like, a dynamic of, I used to, I had a sexual experience with my best friend's dad when I was a kid, and I can't call it anything else but that, because to me it's a perfection of what I was meant to go through, and the perfect experience for me at the perfect time to get me to the perfect place, not only back then, but even in this very second, right? And so I can't call it anything else than that, and that's true gratitude for the situation. And if I had to go through it again, I would, 100%. Like, I would never rob myself of that opportunity. And having that, and I know anyone who's been through trauma, it's like there's this inner thing that goes on with your nervous system where there's almost this resounding, like, in extreme anxiety that's present on a day-to-day basis. And when you let that go and you can transform that, like, it's night and day. You know, it almost feels like a level of freedom from this inner thing that's been protecting you that you technically no longer need, right? And it's pretty amazing. So it's very hard to convince me not to do personal development just because I've invested in it and I've seen so many of the opportunities that have arisen, like, as a result. And I highly invite people to start investing in it and getting some of those opportunities, and find people who you know will give you those opportunities, because then you'll understand what I'm saying and you'll be like, yep, I got this. I get it. This is why it's a lifestyle. Okay, let's do this.
No, for sure. So in your opinion, what is the best way to build resilience?
Yeah, is to really understand what your life purpose is and what your values are, what your vision, what your short-term goal is, what your long-term goal is. Long-term as much as, like, when you leave this planet, like, what would you love to leave behind? What does that look like? Is that for your family? Is that for the entire world? Like, what's the scale? And the reason I say that is because when you tap into that inspiration, when you have something that's so inspiring to you and so fulfilling, I know that you're going to do whatever it takes to get there. And so it's really one of my top priorities with clients is making sure that they tap into those things that are so important that you will do whatever it takes to get there. Because if I set you up with goals that are not fulfilling to you, you're going to fail. You're going to procrastinate, and you're not going to do what it takes to achieve them because they're just not important. But if I set you up and I understand what's truly unique to you and your goals and what's meaningful, I know that you're going to do whatever it takes. And when you do whatever it takes, that means that you're going to go through any challenge that you're going to face. Like anything that comes your way, you'll face it and you'll learn how to overcome it. And that's resilience. That's just resilience in practice. And the more that you experience it, the more that you dive in, the more that I know you're going to feel like more comfortable and more connected with it. So yeah, the number one top priority is understand who you are, your vision, your purpose, your deeper why, and man, just drive your life around those things and make sure every day your day is focused around high priority actions to make that happen.
Wow, Carly. As I already knew, this was going to be a wonderful conversation, and it definitely has been. I mean, I'm the interviewer and the host of the show and interviewing you, and I'm a resilience coach myself, and I learned some things from you. So that's truly spectacular. So just, oh my goodness, yes, this is such a great conversation. So Carly,
yeah,
thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for sharing your inspiring journey with us today as a guest on LifeJack, the Resilience Podcast. Your dedication to personal growth and commitment to empowering entrepreneurs to create lasting impact is truly commendable. It's clear that your experiences have not only shaped your own resilience, but also the lives of those you coach, even me as a host on this interview today. So how can listeners find and connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can find me on my website. So they can come to westcoastgrowthadvisors.com. And then you can connect with me directly there or go to any social media channels, and that would be perfect. And thank you so much for this inspiring conversation.
Any last words of encouragement for the listeners out there?
Yeah, I'm not special. There's no person on this planet that's more special than another person. I just found what I loved, and I just dedicated my life to it. And so whoever wants to, like, dive out there and go achieve things and find those parts of themselves, like, you'll find it there. And anyone that you admire on the outside where you see them doing great things, it's like they just found what they loved, and they're super dedicated to it. So find that thing and dedicate your life to it, and you'll get all those things that you want to experience. It'll be quite inspiring.
Well, Carly, I appreciate the insights you've shared and look forward to seeing how you continue to help others build their legacies while staying true to their values. I wish you and your family nothing but blessings and abundance. Please take care.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you take care as well. I really appreciate this.
Carly Pepin, everyone. Be sure to join me next time for more uplifting stories and insights on resilience. Until then, keep pushing forward, embrace the journey, and remember that every setback can lead to a greater comeback. Dr. Rowe, signing off.